Close your eyes for a moment and imagine, not as one begging for what they desire, but as one who already holds it in their hands. You do not manifest from effort. You manifest from knowing. There is a sacred language of the inner world, the voice that does not plead but declares. And when you speak from this place, creation itself bends to obey. There are 3 lines, not ordinary words, but living seeds. Speak them not to the world, but to your own mind. Speak them not to ask, but to assume. First, it is done. Not it will be, not it might be, but it is done. Right now. This is the language of certainty. Feel the weight of your wish fulfilled. See the end so vividly that the means become irrelevant. You are not waiting. You are remembering. Your desire is already complete in the unseen. Say it with the calm confidence of one who has nothing to prove. Second, I remember when. This line is the bridge. It moves you from where you are to where you choose to be. I remember when I didn't have enough. I remember when I longed for love. I remember when I struggled. You see, the moment you say, I remember when, you place your current problem in the past. You disarm its power. You rise above it. The mind cannot serve 2 masters. It must follow the one you feed. Third, isn't it wonderful? This is the joy that seals it all. Not the joy of what is coming, but the joy of what already is. Let that feeling bubble up in you for no visible reason. Isn't it wonderful to be who you've always dreamed of being? Isn't it wonderful to feel free, to feel loved, to feel chosen? When you speak this line with emotion, your world begins to reshape itself around your inner song. It is not repetition that brings results. It is belief, emotion, and stillness. Speak these 3 lines as one who knows, not as a student hoping to learn, but as the author remembering what you already wrote. Understand? I remember when. Isn't it wonderful? Now. Live from that. And the world will echo it back. Assumption creates reality. This is not merely a poetic idea, it is a spiritual law. The world around you is not fixed. It is plastic to your thoughts and deeply obedient to the assumptions you hold to be true. When you assume something with conviction, you impress it upon your subconscious mind, and from there, it must express itself in your outer experience. This is not because the assumption has magical power in the sky, but because you, the one who is imagining, are the creative power itself. To assume is to live in the end. It is to mentally dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, to behave inwardly as though your desire were already realized. Most people live their lives from a place of reaction. They see circumstances and respond to them. And in doing so, they confirm and perpetuate those same conditions. But those who understand the creative process do not react to the world. They create it from within. They plant new assumptions in the fertile soil of imagination and nurture them with feeling, belief, and repetition. And slowly, or sometimes suddenly, the world conforms. Think of a person who is confident that they are loved. They do not need constant affirmation. They do not chase or beg. Their behavior flows from their assumption. They attract love not because they are trying to, but because they are being the version of themselves who is already loved. Likewise, when you assume that you are prosperous, even before you see the money, your inner world begins to align with that wealth. You think differently, you act differently, you move with a quiet power, and your external reality cannot help but catch up to the dominant vibration of your assumption. That the assumption must be real to you. You cannot pretend weakly and hope for strong results. You must feel the truth of it, even if only in your inner world. It is not enough to say, I am rich, while inwardly feeling poor. That is not assumption. It is contradiction. Assumption requires faith, and faith is the evidence of things not seen. The moment you assume something with full conviction, the wheels of unseen forces begin to turn. People, circumstances, and events begin to shift, often without your conscious guidance. Your only task is to remain loyal to the end you have imagined. Most importantly, assumption does not require external permission. You do not need the world to validate your new state before you live in it. In fact, the world will often delay its response until your assumption becomes unshakable. That is why many give up too soon. They check the mirror of life for signs before the inner work is complete. But the wise know, assumption comes first, manifestation follows. My assumption is not daydreaming, it is a deliberate act of consciousness. You close your eyes, enter into the scene of your fulfilled desire and feel it real. You rehearse the reality you desire until it becomes familiar. So familiar that it no longer feels like fantasy. This mental rehearsal is not wasted energy. It is the blueprint of your future. You are impressing the subconscious, and once impressed, the subconscious brings forth conditions that match the inner state. This is why it is said, to him that hath, more shall be given. If you assume you have, you will. If you assume lack, you perpetuate lack. The law is impersonal. It mirrors you without judgment. Your life is a reflection of your dominant assumptions. And so, if you desire to change your life, do not start by changing the world. Begin by changing what you assume to be true about yourself, about others, about life. Assume the best. Assume the ideal. And persist, for assumption, when sustained, becomes your living reality. The power of declarative language lies in its ability to bypass doubt and directly influence the subconscious mind. When you speak with certainty, you declare not what might happen, but what is. There is a world of difference between saying, I hope it works out, and it is done. One expresses uncertainty and dependency on external circumstances. The other establishes command. This difference, though subtle in words, is monumental in energy and outcome. Declarative language is not about force or arrogance. It is about conviction. It is the language of someone who has moved beyond wishing and stepped into knowing. The subconscious does not respond to uncertainty, it responds to clarity. When you say it is done, you are not negotiating with life, you are declaring the end from the beginning. This shifts your vibration, your state of consciousness, and ultimately the circumstances of your life. Most people unknowingly use declarative language against themselves. They say, I always fail, nothing ever works out for me, or this is just how life is. These statements, though often said casually, are powerful declarations. They embed themselves into the subconscious and repeat as patterns in life. If you continuously declare limitations, you will live within the truth is, every word you speak with emotion and repetition becomes a seed. And declarative language is the most fertile seed of all. When you say, I am successful, I am chosen, I am healthy, even before your outer world reflects it, you are not lying. You are claiming a new state of being. You are speaking from the unseen, from the realm of imagination, which is the only place true creation begins. Every visible result first existed as an invisible truth within someone's mind. The phrase "it is done" is especially powerful because it ends the internal conversation. It eliminates doubt. You are not asking, you are not waiting, you are not checking to see if it's working. You are standing firm in your assumption that the work is already complete. This inner stance sends a clear signal to your subconscious and the universe. This is the reality I now accept as true. From there, all things begin to shift to make it so. Think of how a director speaks on a film set. They don't ask the scene to begin, they declare action. In the same way, your declaration initiates movement. It commands the scene of your life to shift, not by force, but by clarity of intention. You become the authority of your inner world, and the outer world must follow. The key is to speak from the end, to declare the result you desire as if it were already so. This is not delusion. This is alignment with the creative law that imagination is reality. You do not say, I will be healed. You say, I am healed. You do not say, I hope to find peace. You say, peace is mine now. The more you affirm with conviction, the more real it becomes to you, and the more quickly it reflects in your experience. Every time you use declarative language with feeling, you are impressing a new pattern into your subconscious. That impression, once deep enough, must outpicture itself in form. This is why repetition matters, not of empty words, but of felt truth. Declare it until you no longer doubt. Declare it until your inner conversation matches your desire. Declare it until the old story fades and the new one takes hold. Words are not empty sounds. They carry energy. They carry creative power. Use them consciously. Speak as one who knows the outcome. Speak not as a beggar, but as a creator. Say it, feel it, mean it. It is done, and it will be. I remember when is more than just a phrase. It is a bridge between your present reality and your desired state. It is a subtle yet powerful way to shift your consciousness from identifying with the problem to identifying with the solution. When you say, I remember when, you are not denying your current circumstances. You are mentally placing them in the past, where they no longer hold power over you. In doing so, you lift yourself out of the emotional entanglement of the present and begin to live from a higher state of being. This technique works because the subconscious mind accepts what you consistently imagine and feel to be true. When you say, I remember when I used to struggle with money, even if you are still experiencing financial difficulty, you are assuming that struggle is behind you. You are no longer the person in the struggle. You are now the one who has come through it. You are aligning with the version of yourself who already lives in abundance. Because the subconscious cannot tell the difference between imagination and reality, it begins to accept this new state as your truth. The beauty of this phrase is that it allows you to transition gently. You do not need to force belief in something that feels too far away. Instead, you ease into it by recalling the current situation as if it were already behind you. I remember when I felt lonely implies that now you feel connected. I remember when I doubted myself suggests that now you trust yourself. These are not lies. They are declarations of your shift in identity. You are training your mind to see your present struggle as a thing of the past, and your desire as your new present. This approach disarms resistance. When you try to affirm something that feels false, your mind often pushes back. If you say, I am rich while feeling poor, part of you may resist the statement. But when you say, I remember when I didn't have enough, there's no resistance. Because you're not denying the truth of your past, instead you are placing that lack in a timeline that no longer belongs to your present. This subtle mental repositioning helps your subconscious to release attachment to the old state and embrace the new one more effortlessly. Every time you use I remember when, you are reinforcing a new story. And stories are how we build identity. The more you tell the story of your new self, the more natural it becomes to live as that self. This is how change happens, not by willpower, but by identity shift. You become the person who no longer struggles, who no longer doubts, who no longer waits. And from that new identity, your actions, emotions, and circumstances begin to align. Use this phrase in your daily inner conversations. When you feel fear, say, I remember when I used to be afraid of this. When you feel small, say, I remember when I used to shrink in these moments. You're not escaping reality, you're rewriting it from within. The outer world may not change overnight, but your inner world does. And since the inner world is the root, the outer must eventually reflect its growth. In this way, I remember when becomes a tool of transformation. It allows you to live as the person who has already crossed the bridge, who has already overcome, who already holds the thing once longed for. This shift in perspective is not wishful thinking, it is creative consciousness at work. The moment you stop identifying with the problem and begin remembering it as something past, you move into the frequency of the solution. And that frequency is what shapes your future. Isn't it wonderful? May seem like a simple phrase, but it carries within it the emotional essence of fulfillment. It is not a question looking for an answer. It is a declaration disguised as a reflection. It invites the feeling of joy before the physical manifestation appears. In doing so, it activates the most powerful force in the universe, gratitude in advance. When you say, "Isn't it wonderful?" you are celebrating the unseen as if it were already here. You are training your mind and body to respond to an invisible reality with real emotion. And that emotion becomes the magnet that draws it into form. Most people wait for something external to feel good. They wait for the money to arrive, the relationship to unfold, the healing to happen, and only then do they allow themselves the pleasure of joy. But those who understand the creative process do the opposite. They feel first. They rejoice now. They choose to live in the emotion of the wish fulfilled, and this emotional state becomes the very thing that births the physical outcome. It is not about pretending. It is about choosing to feel the truth of the unseen as more real than the lack of it in the visible world. When you say, "Isn't it wonderful?" you are speaking from the end, but doing so with soft, confident expectation. You are not demanding or striving. You are savoring the feeling of already having what you desire. There is no resistance in this phrase. There is no struggle. It's playful, it's light, and yet it carries incredible power because it aligns you with the vibration of joy, which is the signature frequency of every fulfilled desire. Joy is not a result of manifestation, it is the cause. This phrase also bypasses the conscious mind skepticism. If you affirm, "I have everything I want," your mind may challenge you and point to what is missing. But when you say, "Isn't it wonderful?" you don't trigger resistance. There's nothing for the mind to argue with because you haven't defined the thing. You've only called in the feeling. And the feeling is what the subconscious responds to. It is the feeling that writes the script of your reality. So when you generate feelings of wonder, gratitude, and delight without needing a reason, your subconscious believes that what you desire must already be here. This emotional beliving is the secret behind all true manifestation. It is not your thoughts alone that create. It is the energy behind them. A thought with no emotion is a whisper, but a thought wrapped in joy, gratitude, or excitement is a command. "Isn't it wonderful?" is a tool for emotional alignment. You can use it in moments of silence, before sleep, during meditation, or as you walk through the day. Say it over and over. Not mechanically, but with genuine feeling. Imagine that the thing you desire has already arrived and feel the warmth of that truth. Say it again. "Isn't it wonderful?" This phrase also opens the heart. It softens the grip of worry and dissolves the habit of needing proof before believing. It teaches you to live in anticipation instead of anxiety, to rejoice without reason, to become a vessel of the feeling you desire so the physical can match it. You are not tricking the universe, you are aligning with its design. Life responds not to your needs, but to your state. And nothing elevates your state more naturally than wonder and gratitude. In the end, it's not about saying the right words. It's about feeling the right reality. "Isn't it wonderful?" is a doorway to that feeling. Enter it often. Enter it fully. Let it carry you into the atmosphere of your fulfilled desire, and soon life will reflect the wonder you chose to feel all along. Inner conviction is the true source of manifestation. It is not the outer world that determines what you receive. It is your unwavering belief in what is already true within you. The creative power does not respond to effort, to begging, or to appearances. It responds to the assumption that what you desire already exists and is already yours. The moment you believe within, without needing a single piece of external evidence, you have stepped into the space where manifestation becomes inevitable. Most people wait for the world to give them permission to believe. They look to their bank accounts to feel wealthy, their relationships to feel loved, their circumstances to feel secure. But this is moving from effect to cause, not cause to effect. The law works in reverse. You must first believe you are rich before the money comes. You must first feel chosen before the partner arrives. You must first embody health before the healing reveals itself. Your inner state precedes the external form. What you do not believe inwardly, you will never fully experience outwardly. Conviction is not something you force. It is something you choose. It is the quiet decision to remain faithful to your imagined reality, regardless of appearances. Even when nothing around you seems to support your desire, conviction holds firm. It does not flinch in the face of delay or contradiction. It does not argue with reality. It replaces it. Conviction sees through what is and clings to what must be, because it has already accepted it as true. This is why feeling is so important in the creative process. Feeling is the evidence of belief. If you say, "I am successful," but feel anxious and doubtful, then your true belief is in failure, not success. But if you say, "I am successful," and feel peace, gratitude, and confidence, then your belief is aligned and creation is already underway. It is the feeling that activates the law, not the words alone. Your subconscious does not respond to empty affirmations. It responds to the conviction behind them. Living from inner conviction means becoming indifferent to external facts. It means no longer allowing the five senses to dictate your faith. You stop looking for signs because you become the sign. You stop chasing results because you know they are coming. You stop checking to see if it's working because your faith has already settled the matter. And in this settled inner state, things begin to happen. People show up, opportunities arise, doors open, not because you forced them, but because you matched the frequency where they already existed. There will be moments when doubt whispers, when logic challenges you, when reality looks unchanged. But this is the test, not of truth, but of your persistence. Can you continue to believe when there's no reason to? Can you keep the inner flame alive when the outer world seems cold? Those who can are the ones who manifest the extraordinary, because they do not rely on the world to confirm their power. They rely on their inner knowing, which is the only true source of creation. This is why true manifestation is never frantic. It is calm, it is sure, it is patient. Inner conviction is quiet because it does not need to shout. It rests in the truth that what is imagined with belief must come to pass. The law is certain. The outer world is not your master. It is your mirror. And when you are convicted within, the mirror cannot help but reflect that truth back to you. Hold fast to your inner belief. Guard it as the most precious possession you have. Feed it daily with thought, emotion, and attention. And do not look to the world to validate it. Look within. For the moment you accept your desire is already fulfilled. Without condition, you have already begun to shape the world in your image. Speak it, feel it, believe it. These three lines, "It is done," "I remember when," and "Isn't it wonderful," are not just words, They are keys to unlock the unseen, tools to rewire reality from within. Use them with conviction, and the world around you will begin to conform to the truth you hold inside.